This is Zina. I am the host of Evoke Strong Life, and this is Health Transformation Stories. Today I am featuring Jeanette Carbajal. She is a holistic cancer coach and also a functional life coach with an emphasis on lifestyle consulting. And what we're going to talk about is her journey, her own journey of change, of having to make changes for herself while at the same time being a caregiver to many of her family members who suffered from chronic disease, including cancer. So here she is. I see her now, and I'm going to go ahead and bring her in. It says you're adding. There you are. Hey.
Hi.
So here we are. I want to go ahead and start right before you became a cancer coach. And tell us what your life was like back then. Where were you working at the time? And when you started experiencing health issues.
Wow, then we're going to have to go a little farther back than right before I became a cancer coach.
Yeah.
Well, initially, I was working in a family business. I'm sorry, could you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I was working in a family business that was construction.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was actually fire restoration. It was a restoration construction company, fire and water, smoke and mold. And just being in that environment is toxic in itself. That inflicted a lot of health diseases and conditions in me. And so realizing that the environment I was in was pretty unhealthy and I had to get out.
Right.
I really didn't even have a choice. I had to get out. So that was kind of like the first step that I guess triggered my multiple symptoms. And the symptoms went undiagnosed, so it wasn't even a condition or a disease because I was kind of like a medical unicorn. You know, they say, well, you do have A, B, and C, but your lab work doesn't show anything else.
It's interesting. What type of
Yeah.
symptoms, if you don't mind sharing?
Sure. I had chronic fatigue. I had unusual hormonal imbalances, monthly reoccurring inflection of my cycles, hair loss, suppressed appetite, and what else? Dry mouth,
Right.
pelvic pain. I mean, the list can go on, yet nobody can diagnose me with anything.
Yeah. Well, when did you realize that it was maybe from work that may have been causing some of it, or did you realize immediately? Well, not immediately, but how long did you stay in that job before you decided this may be causing some of my health issues?
It was 1 week in particular, towards the end, obviously, that I developed flu-like symptoms, and my dad developed flu-like symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
And we weren't exposed to anyone who had the flu, and it kind of came and went within 3 days. And then the next week, we both at the same time experienced flu-like symptoms for 3 days, the exact same time, and it went away. And then it happened again 3 weeks later.
Oh my goodness.
3 days of flu-like symptoms, and then it went away. And we realized that those were the days right after we got a brand new job, and we were walking through a brand new job site.
Oh, wow.
And so that triggered something because my mom started saying, you know, I've noticed that you and your dad have been sick a lot at the same exact time, yet like it's not a full-on flu. And I started seeing the reports of employees also being sick at the same amount of time. And that was a red light.
Right.
Yeah.
So
we walked away.
So you walked away, and
We
then
walked away.
was that the same time when your family members started having issues with their health as well, and then you became the caregiver for them?
Well, it was at the point where I was mentioning to my family, I said, you know, it might be our environment that we're being exposed to that we should think about closing the business. And at the time we were just, you know, just like everybody else, really scared of love, safety, and belonging, which is financial security. And we didn't know how we were going to do it. And then one day my dad had an injury at work because of the environmental effect of it, my mom was hospitalized and my grandma was hospitalized within 2 weeks of each other. And I also had to be sent to the hospital. So when all four of us were in some capacity in the hospital within 2 weeks of each other, I said, something's got to give and we have to go. And that was the final straw, and we stepped away. And so I'm not even sure if I just answered your question. Did
Oh
I?
no, yeah, you did. So at that time, so this was a family business, it sounds like.
It was a family business, but only my dad and I were involved.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then all of you started to have symptoms,
Of
but
of things, yes. Of
of
health
of
conditions,
of
yeah.
health conditions. But
I wish,
yours was undiagnosed, but then your family was diagnosed, is that right?
yeah, they had their own. Now, we can't really connect like my mom or my grandmothers at all because they were not on the job site. My grandmother lived
Right.
separately from us, but it was just opening our eyes that our health is too precious to let slip through. And if we're all being shown this experience of sickness, it was time for us collectively to get better.
Right. So what was your approach? You walked away from the business, and what
Yeah.
was your next step?
Um, well, I was pretty reluctant because I led every job site. I was really reluctant. I didn't want to let go of that power. And as a female in a job place, we're supposed to be alpha females. So coming back home in a domesticated environment and having to have a different type of role, parenting your parents, being that which you wish would be available for you, it was a hard process, and I was able to get through that through support and also diving into Google. I mean, that's where we all start.
Right, yeah. I always say what Dr. Google.
Yeah, Dr. Google. He
Right.
started helping me, and I emailed and called every kind of scientist, biologist, house biologist, and ecologist, epi every single kind of
Yeah.
epidemiologist, yeah,
Yeah.
to see was this an epidemic among construction workers and their family even. And I contacted everyone, and it was kind of like a puzzle. I got little pieces from a lot of places that were able
Right.
to help me put together this formula, this roadmap that was pretty quantitative. It wasn't like a woo-woo thing. It was steps that truly help your health. And so throughout everything toxic in my house, from our food to our material in our house to we had plaster in one room. I even had that taken out because of my background with construction. I was able to have that proactive approach, threw everything out except the roof because that was clean.
Right, so you took step by step from the information that you found out from all of these experts
Yes.
that you started taking away the toxins from your home and
Yeah.
from your body as well, it sounds like.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
was that, how did you do that? Like the step by step approach, how long did it take you? And then how long did you start seeing results?
Well, I believe the entire process because every step of the way I would keep uncovering new information. And so it would take initially, it took me about 3 months to do a completely renovation because I got rid of all my furniture as well that had Proposition 65 that have cancer-causing chemicals, fire retardants out of our house too. So that took about 3 months initially. Then with the construction, it was about another 2 months. And then I went into the things that you can't see, like electromagnetic fields and EMF, and that was another step as well. So, and because it all costs a lot of money, and so
Yeah.
it took us a
Wow.
little while to go through these steps.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, you did a complete, like, I mean, turnaround with
Hmm.
what you had in your home. Um,
And
so
what
you
we
were you,
allowed back into our home.
right.
Yeah.
So were your parents diagnosed with, not with cancer, right? It's
No.
just your grandmother.
Yeah, neurological damages from environmental toxins.
Is that for
Um,
with your parents?
hmm My
Wow.
dad, neurological conditions. I can't really speak on the specific one, but
Right.
neurological conditions. My mom, gastrointestinal, and thyroid.
Right.
Yeah.
And then your grandma had what type of cancer?
She had a pelvic cancer.
She had pelvic cancer. By the way,
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that she passed. How long
Yeah.
ago?
2.5 years, going
Wow,
on 2.5 years
that's
now.
recent. That's
Yeah.
really recent. And
Thank
then you
you.
mentioned that as the same time that you were taking care of your family, that you noticed your health was even declining more, right?
Hmm.
And then because you're so busy making all of these changes and taking care of
Yeah.
your parents, like how was it getting worse for you?
I had more fatigue, yet I was trying to kick on my adrenals forcefully. So I would take caffeine, green tea,
Mm.
everything that I can possibly find that
Yeah.
was natural, yet that would allow me a boost of energy.
Mm-hmm.
And that was killing me. That was really killing me. It affected my endocrine system. It affected the female cycles. It affected it affected my mindset because
Mm.
whenever you have too much caffeine and you forcefully make your adrenals work too hard, you're actually depleting liquids and fat out of your brain. And so you do get a kind of brain fog. Even though I was focused on tasks at hand, I wasn't able to comprehend that I was trying to help my family, but I wasn't helping myself. And that's a
Mm.
martyr.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes, so at that point when you realized that you needed to start
Hmm.
taking care of yourself, like what was your action? What did you do?
So I didn't.
Oh, you didn't. Okay.
I was reluctant. I didn't want to. I kept saying, there's some people in my house fighting for their life. They're dying,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not, and I can keep going, and they're recovering from surgeries or from treatment or something else. I just kept going. I didn't stop. I didn't want to stop. Yet I had this facade, but internally I wasn't facing what was really going on. Not until after my grandmother passed, and I had somebody take a picture of me. I was trying on a coat, just a sweater,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw that picture, and I saw myself, and I had aged about 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
I looked about 50, and I stopped and I asked the lady that took a picture, how old do I look? She's like, you look like 48.
Wow.
And I was in my
Mm.
20s.
Yeah.
And she said, you look like 48. And I looked at myself, and my chin and my neck was all the way here. It was connected. I had gained about 25 pounds, close to 30. And I hadn't noticed it because I was so set on their treatment, their recovery, their healing process, and not my own. And so it wasn't until my grandmother passed that I just stopped everything and went on
Mm.
this intensive healing process.
Mm.
Hmm.
You were so focused on your family, you forgot about
Hmm.
yourself. I mean,
I did.
um, I think
It
as a,
happened.
yeah, I feel the same. Yeah, it's not in the same level, but when I became a mom,
Yes.
that was almost like the same thing. We just putting so much time towards my children that I forgot about myself and I forgot taking care of myself. And that's when I realized that I also had some health issue back in like a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized, I need to take care of myself or I'm not going to be around for my kids if I don't. So
Yeah.
that's a big realization. So this healing process that you did for yourself, is that what led you to towards the path to becoming a holistic coach?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I got a coach myself. And I said, what you're doing is life changing. I wish I had somebody like this, but I wish I had somebody like this for cancer because I didn't have it. What I had was emails that any oncologist emails that was public on Dr. Google, I would email them and ask them questions, and they were the only ones that would help give me a little bit of guidance as to what additional things I can do for my grandmother in between treatments and for my parents' recovery from their own chronic diseases. Um, and that led me into going to school to become a certified holistic cancer coach and health coach and life coach and NLP practitioner and timeline therapist and everything else. And so
Amazing.
it's a constant evolving process that I'm now addicted to because I see the benefits of only changing how you think.
Your mindset. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so big.
Huge.
I wanna go back, because you mentioned that you, for your healing yourself,
Yeah.
you also you went to a coach. What type of coach did you see?
Yeah. I saw a life coach.
A life coach. Okay.
Yeah.
And so was it a he or a she? I'm sorry.
It's she.
Okay. So she guided you through
Yeah.
different
She
area. Well,
guided
go
she
ahead.
guided me through the parts that I was stuck in and making
Mm-hmm.
me realize that where I'm stuck is a chosen experience.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. How long did you work with a life coach? Are you still currently working with her?
Well, I believe every coach needs a coach, and I have a coach. I just have a different
Yeah.
coach. Sometimes you outgrow them and you need to go to the next one,
Mm-hmm.
which we completed what I needed with her, which was beautiful, and she allowed me to go somewhere else.
Yeah, I love
Yeah,
that. Yeah, every coach needs a coach, and I need to
yes,
consider that as well as I'm training to become a wellness coach. I know that it helps a lot, and just making yourself. I mean, you're learning all of this different approaches,
yeah,
but then you have to have someone to talk to about your own
yeah,
experience. Otherwise, it's hard for you to realize really what's going on within yourself until you've voice it out to someone, until you
hmm
talk to someone about it.
hmm
So
We
it
cannot
definitely helps.
see, we cannot see our own blind spots. We need somebody else to point them out to us.
Oh, yeah, that's so true. Okay, so it's been 2 years. You're now a holistic cancer coach, and you're helping others to. You said you're the calm in their storm. Can you talk more about what you do for patients who has cancer, and
Yeah.
how do you do it holistically?
Well, yeah. Well, because I'm not an MD or a doctor of
Mm-hmm.
any sort, there's nothing toxic about it. So the
Mm-hmm.
entire approach of talking it out is a holistic and functional approach.
Right.
You're talking into either a trauma or an experience you don't want to be reoccurring in your life and
Mm-hmm.
finding it from the seedling, from where it was implanted or where it was first imprinted. And sometimes that's as young as 5 years old and changing the meaning that they want of it based on their end goal.
Mm-hmm. So it sounds like it. I mean, it can apply to anyone.
Yeah,
this
it can.
this this approach,
Yeah,
but you
it
found
def.
it. Go ahead.
I really like to focus. I would love to focus 100% on only cancer patients. I do have a lot of clients who are not cancer patients that I
Mm-hmm.
am able to do it, but I just feel they're the ones that want to fight for their life and want to change their life. And I want to make sure that they know there's someone just specifically for cancer on doing this health and life coaching.
Right. And have you found from those you have coached
Yeah.
before that they do have something that's within themselves that they're kind of that's in a way it's not helping them heal, or I mean, like you said, it's a mindset that you have to work through something that may have happened before in your life. And is that something that you're seeing, or
Well, it's something that they've told me. They've told me,
okay.
I believe I have an experience in my life that feels like a cancer, that I keep
Mm,
replaying, and my body still feels like it's recurring every time I think about it. It's
I
something
see.
from the past that is recurring in their mind, and they just
Mm-hmm.
want to change the meaning of it
Mm.
and the way they look at it, and
Wow.
also choosing the experience that they want to have.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's beautiful. Thank you so much. I think we've been talking for about 30 minutes. It's
Yeah.
gone. Yeah. Yeah. Well, maybe a little less. But if anyone would like to get in touch with you, what's the best way?
Yeah, so my website is www.experiencehealthbyjeanette.com because I
Mm-hmm.
do believe you can experience health through cancer, any disease, or family members going through it. It shouldn't have to be one survivor. It needs to be two, the caregiver and the patient. They both need to survive the disease. And then my Instagram is Experience Cancer Health.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah,
Hey, Jeanette, thank you so much for taking your time out
yeah.
and being flexible with where we can do the show. But I'm going to make sure that I post this on my page. And I also have a YouTube channel, but it's taking me some time to work on like transferring videos. It takes
That's okay.
takes time. But it's such a
Technology is not my forte.
pleasure.
It was a pleasure
Yes,
too.
pleasure.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Yeah, thank you for making such an impact for to better to improve people's health and especially those who are suffering from cancer. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you for having this platform and for you yourself going into the wellness industry
Hmm.
because it's needed. We need every single person. There's
Yes.
billions of people on this planet and there's not enough coaches with good-hearted intentions. So thank you.
Thank you. All right. Well, I guess everyone, thank you for tuning in,
Hmm.
and we'll see you next time. I usually have my show on Thursdays, and I have one scheduled for the end of November, and you'll hear more about it on my page, Evoke Strong, or go to my website, evokestrong.com. Thanks again, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.
Bye-bye.